this tour from the very beginning, and it never would have happened without all of their help. So thank you very much to all of them. And we have a special guest here tonight, the CEO of Techshop, Mark Hatch, also co-founder, is here tonight from the Bay Area. He is actually the keynote speaker at the National Governors Association meeting that's here in town, and he is here to give us a couple words about the future of the maker movement and hardware.
So I liken the last couple of years and what we're moving into to a similar time recently. It feels about like 1993 to 1995. The reason I say that is 1993 was the first issue of Wired magazine, which I actually kind of find funny because most of what they talk about is no longer Wired. It's gone over and everything else, and they haven't changed their name to Wireless yet, but maybe that's coming. But that actually came out in 1993. I actually bought the very first version of it. Remember Fast Company, Red Herring. I got the first copies of each of those. Red Herring is no longer with us, which is probably a good thing. It was named correctly. For those of you who don't know what Red Herring is, go look it up. But it feels like about 1994. Kevin Kelly was the first editor at Wired magazine. He shepherded it from the old days. He helped launch the whole Earth catalog, which was actually all about tools. And then he followed that to Wired, which was about internet and so forth. And the next revolution is really about to emerge. Now, it's part of the maker movement. Chris Anderson coined it as the next industrial revolution. I prefer to call it the creative revolution because I think it's more than just industry. But it is kind of like 1993, 94, 95. 94, I think, was when Mosaic came out. You know, Andreessen was still a kid. He was about 22 years old in Champaign. My guess is somewhere along this tour you uncovered another Andreessen. Somebody in this audience quite possibly could be the next Andreessen. And the reason I say that is that Anderson was right, Chris was right. We are on the cusp of the next industrial revolution. Tools are easier, more powerful, and the cheapest they've ever been in all of human history. I think when we look back 1,000 years from now at the span of human history, we're going to look at this 200 years during the Industrial Revolution and go, that was a really bizarre time when people bought stuff from people they didn't know. They bought stuff that was mass-produced and not customized. They bought stuff that they didn't understand and couldn't impact on their own. Because we're rapidly moving into an era where you will be able to buy stuff locally that's very sophisticated at similar price points and created to your specification by members in your community. That's what's happening with the Industrial Revolution. We have industrialized it so much, it's now becoming the consumer revolution. The consumer now has access to the same tools that industrialists have had. So when Chris Anderson quit his job, imagine that. He was the penultimate writer of all things internet. And he quit his job to start a hardware company. And all his friends, of course, in the Silicon Valley are freaking out. What are you doing? You know, I thought you guys would do this forever. And he really wrote the book about the long tail and what that meant. And he told them something really interesting at the Law Now Foundation. He said two things, basically. If you read my article about the next industrial revolution, I'm serious. It is coming. It is happening. Tools are easy, powerful, and cheap. And I don't want to chronicle the next revolution like I did the last one. I want to participate. The next thing he said stunned them. If you thought the internet was big, this is way bigger. This is from the guru of all things internet. It was Deloitte recently suggested that the hardware revolution will be at least 6 times the size of what the internet revolution has been. And it actually makes sense, right? If you're sitting anywhere, which I trust you are, you're surrounded by physical objects and physical things. Our relationship with those have become disoriented Over the last 200 years, we've become consumers rather than prosumers, rather than folks who actually have engaged the people who have created things, and we are going to reverse that over the next 10 to 15 years. And there is a reason in this room, I suspect, some folks who are going to understand the power of the revolution, the power of access to tools, the power of being able to create fundamentally. And what's really cool for me is it's not just industry. This also incorporates art and architecture and science. Now, one of the keys, though, to making this happen is actually access to the software. Software is making it to manipulate things in 3 dimensions on all the polygons, which then drive the machines so you don't have to drive the machines. That's the magic. When I have to learn how to use a mill, it's going to take a year, and the product I'm going to produce is going to be ugly. But if I can use a computer numerically controlled software program to run a computer numerically controlled machine, it produces the part perfectly the first time, or at least to my design. My design might not be right, but it does produce what I intended. That is actually one of the biggest things. So I'm a huge fan of Autodesk. They are our biggest funder. Carl Bass is on our board. The software activity that they're doing where they're trying to drive design and development tools down to 4-year-olds, I think Carl goes 4-year-olds to 80 or 8 years old to 80, something like that, is fundamental. I believe that being able to manipulate things in 3 dimensions is like learning how to use WordPerfect or WordStar. I know the old guys and gals don't know what that is. This is before Bill Gates took that industry over. There was a time when nobody knew how to type. Now everybody knows how to type. There was a time when nobody knew how to manipulate things in 3 dimensions. There is going to be a time where everybody knows how to manipulate things in 3 dimensions. So I want to introduce Paul Cousins from Autodesk because they are going to make that happen.
That was a heck of an introduction. Maybe I can go to the governor's ball with him tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. I'm Paul Cousins. I'm with Autodesk. We're thrilled to be a sponsor of this event. And I'm reminded of it 6 months ago when Ilana reached out to us and was talking about the idea of the Harbor Cup. I shouldn't tell her how easy it was for us to say yes. We all have the same goals in common. We're all trying to, actually everyone in this room has the same goal in common. We're all trying to help early stage companies get to market faster. Each of us have a different role to play. IP lawyers invest their time to help with IP around here. All the other sponsors around are doing neat things. But at Autodesk, we look at our design software as an enabling tool to do this. The challenge is we looked at this market, and we couldn't agree more with what everyone said, the future of making things and where things are going. But we recognized pretty early on that most of the innovation in this market was happening at the early stage company level. But early stage companies had 3 pretty big things in common that were important to how Autodesk would go to market. And the first thing that all these companies had in common was, wait for it, they don't have any money. So a publicly traded company with commission-based sales guys, we're not going to get our people to go banging on their door to try and make their quota. And it was actually our CEO, Carl Bass, who came to my boss and I at the time and said, we're walking past Thomas Edison with no idea which one of these people has invented the new thing. That's wrong. We need to get all over this and create some programs to create accessibility tools to this community. The second thing we found was that so many of these companies needed to design, wanted to simulate to know how the product's going to perform, basically just wanted to get a product to market faster. So every pamphlet we produce says, hey, we think we're pretty good at producing stuff that does that. But the third area that we found they all had in common is they're all trying to sell their IP. Either to the investment community to get some more money, or some judges, to get some money today. Or more importantly, their first 10 customers to prove there's a market for the solar power back scratcher or whatever else that's going to make it up there. So a lot of our design visualization tools are things we really kind of push people on. Create an animation, create a digital prototype of your physical home. Make all your mistakes in pixels versus atoms. And essentially, that's what we've been able to do with a lot of our tools, and why we made Fusion 360 actually a product we have as the sponsor of this event. This is our next generation of CAD. So it's born in the cloud, incredibly easy to use compared to all the other CAD packages, even other ones that we have. Again, when you have a chance to start over again, we've put 200 developers working on one software package. And because it's cloud-based, we have a new release basically every quarter. This makes my team's job really, really easy because we get feedback from people in the tech shop, from people we've met from these events and so on. Hey, we're looking for this, if only I could do that. And we're able, like many of the customers out here, as their product development stage, we can move on the fly to make our products even better. And I think that's the big thing, what's happening to all the 7 people that are going to be presenting today and all the other companies that have tried, or those who have here off the last years. Product development's changing. It's a much different barrier to entry to get in there. The means of producing products has changed, from 3D printing being a cliche thing, but that really enables a bunch of new things in the barriers to entry we talk about to get in there. You've got product intelligence. With all, I was talking to a few people today, all the sensors that go into different products. A few of the presenters have some of that. Those products just were not even possible a couple of years ago. And I just think it's exciting for us all to be part of it. So we're thrilled to be a partner. Excited to see all the presentations and get to know you all. But again, my buddy James, who's in the back there, we make our software free to startups. That's one of the reasons we want to, if you're working in the investment community and you want to sleep better at night knowing that your team is using great software and has a lot of support from our team about us, it's not just, we don't value free stuff. You just give them free software, that's neat. But if you can give them support and help them and share their goal of getting big, that's what we're all about. So we're kind of betting on the whole roulette table. I hope all 7 of these companies win. I hope they all win in the market, more importantly, kind of thing. But on our side, we just want to get really big, as he said, then they can buy our software, but not until then. So anyways, thrilled to be here, thrilled to hear the presentations coming on, and thank you all, the Pittsburgh community, for supporting us too, and looking forward to our presentation. Thanks, guys.